Let's start with the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, Dan Rubenstein.
I'm ready.
Notre Dame, 14-2 last season. This year, their over-under per our friends in the desert is 10.5 wins. What is your reaction to seeing 10.5? How do you feel about that?
I feel fine about it. I mean,
would you go over?
It's a big number.
Would you go over?
Not confidently.
Yeah,
but
me neither.
Not confidently, but Notre Dame as a program right now with the way the sport is built, it's, I don't know what rhymes with 10, the drive to 6, like you just got to get to 10 wins, you're in the playoff. So ultimately that doesn't matter a ton right now. They don't have the same, dramatic need to win a conference to get a certain seeding or, They've got a brutal schedule with these 5 powers in their conference that are recruiting on an insane level. They've got tough games on this schedule. They bring back so much.
Yeah.
And there are so many known quantities outside of quarterback, which again, they're one of those 6 of top 8 teams that will have a new full-time starting quarterback, that if quarterback is plug and play competent or pretty good, they're going to win 10 games. So Notre Dame's going to be really good this year. They're going to be really good this year. I think they're going to improve upon certain aspects of what they needed to improve upon from last year, and that they have the seasoning and the proof of concept, and that Marcus Freeman can go into that locker room and say, I haven't been here that long, and I took you to the top of the mountain. We couldn't plant our flag, but we were there. And so what I am doing, who I am hiring, the culture I am instilling is championship culture. And you either get on board or you transfer to Nebraska or Tennessee or whatever, like the offensive linemen have done, that didn't seem like they were going to start. So that kind of advantage that only 5, 6, 7 type coaches have in this sport is, I think, immense.
I don't know if you're watching me right now, but as you're saying all this, I'm just nodding.
Great.
I'm nodding in silent approval because, Dan, you are stealing my thunder here.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. It means that I'm not off base because you can't do a Notre Dame preview without starting with that bigger picture view of this whole program at this point.
Yeah.
This is, and I was thinking about this before I came down here, like, this is far and away the strongest this program's ever been in my lifetime.
Whoa.
And possibly in like the modern era.
Yeah.
Truly. I mean, I know they haven't won the title yet, but they were played for it last year, and it feels like they are on the cusp of playing for it again, or at least being in that conversation year in and year out. The only way that you are building a sustainable winner in 2025 is if you've got alignment, the big A word.
Mm-hmm.
Your athletic director, your athletic administration, your overall university administration, and the coach. And they've got that. They've really got that.
Hey, real quick, it'd be great if you could consider subscribing to the YouTube channel down below. It really helps us out.
It feels like it's now more the case than ever at Notre Dame, especially under Freeman. He's built the culture that you speak of. Doesn't just make guys want to come to Notre Dame, but it makes them want to stay when they're there. I heard rumors about guys on this roster that we will talk through, who I will not mention, who were kind of straddling the line of like, should I go? Should I go get a paycheck? Should I go somewhere else? Should I get closer to home? Stuff.
Right.
They're still there.
Hmm.
Okay. So this is a roster now. This is a program now that is recruiting itself. It is a roster that is deeper than ever as a result of it. And more to the point, like, Notre Dame had really bad injury luck last season. We saw it along both lines, some of it early, some of it in the playoffs. This was never a situation where they were just plugging in guys willy-nilly and they were changing the game plan.
Right. And
I think that that is an undersold part of what Marcus Freeman is doing right now. Because you see it across college football all the time. There's got to plug in a new lineman. We got to change the game plan. On offense, on defense, we got a new quarterback. We got to change the game plan. Got a new running back room. We got to change the game. He is doing the same thing regardless of who is in there. And we see that among the truly elite teams in college football, whether it's Georgia or Ohio State or Oregon, right? Like, you see this among the top teams where they just truly adopt the next man up mentality. And it is just plug and play with the next guy stepping in. They don't have to reboot the entire game plan in order to fit whatever new personnel they got going into the starting lineup.
Right.
Notre Dame has gotten them to this point now. Or Marcus Freeman, has got Notre Dame to this point now. And so as someone who's watched this team his entire life, I'm thrilled with where they are at right now. And it just feels to me like a program that continues to churn and continues to get stronger.
Yeah.
So I'm happy. I'm excited about this time, this team this year.
Sure.
The point that I think a lot of people have missed, though, is how young Notre Dame was a year ago. And like, there obviously was a veteran presence that was leading the charge, be it Riley Leonard or Xavier Watts or Jack Kaiser, Riley Mills, Ben Morrison. Like, there were veterans, but there were also a lot of freshmen and sophomores that were playing. Their starting left tackle was a true freshman. Their best cornerback, their starting cornerback by year's end, Leonard Moore, my guy Leonard Moore.
Mm-hmm.
True freshman. You had sophomores up and down this roster that were playing huge roles in what we saw in getting them to the national championship. Both Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price were sophomores.
Yep.
So just a ton of underclassmen that were part of the thing last year. There's a ton back now coming into 2025. I think there's more back on defense than offense, but I think that stat might be a little bit skewed because of Riley Leonard leaving. But alas, there was definitely a big-time youth movement last year that I think we're going to see pay dividends now in 2025. That's part of why they're a top 5 team.
Okay, fair enough.
The problem, though, is the quarterback.
Yeah.
And it might be a bridge too far to call it a problem, because I think their problem is one that a lot of schools would pay to have, and that's 2 seemingly capable quarterbacks competing for the gig. But from our chair, as we were previewing these teams, CJ Carr, Kenny Minchey, we haven't seen a whole lot of either of those guys, if any of these guys, at the major college football level. So when you ask the question, what do you expect? What should we expect? It's a big old shrug. I know that Notre Dame people have been very excited about CJ Carr for a while, and I know that and I'm guilty of this too, I just sort of assumed, sight unseen, that it would be CJ Carr's job to lose. I still believe that that's the case, but from all indications, this is a legitimate quarterback race, Dan.
Yes.
It's not like they're just trying to appease Kenny Minchey to keep him around. They don't want him to transfer. They don't, like, it's neck and neck from everything that I've been told. And though there might still be a bit of an inclination to go with Carr because he was the bigger prize recruit of the two of them, still, I think it's an open question as to which one we're going to get. Different quarterbacks. CJ Carr, early comps for him were Mac Jones when he was being recruited out of high school, right? Accurate passer, mobile enough to move around in the pocket, but he's not a runner. Kenny Minchey, more of the athlete, right? You can do more with him. You can put him on the run.
Throws a nice ball, though.
Throws a nice ball. He's your guy.
Yeah.
You love Kenny Minchey.
I've liked him for a little bit.
Maybe not quite as big as CJ Carr, but definitely a different style athlete. So this is obviously going to be the biggest question. There's a lot around whoever you put at the quarterback position. You've got the ground game with Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price. I got to believe the Notre Dame offense is going to flow through that ground assault. You've got the line up front. Notre Dame lost some guys via transfer along the line. There was a narrative out there in the preseason like, it's falling apart.
Wheels are coming off the offensive line. Yeah.
Those guys weren't going to play, dog. They weren't going to play. They weren't going to play.
Okay.
So the fact now that
they were
got
in
this
playing
line,
last year for injured dudes who are now healthy. Yeah.
The fact they've got this line in front of this running back room with, I think, this wide receiving core, which is better, still has some of its own questions, but led by Jaden Greathouse, you bring in some other transfers as well, Malachi Fields, Will Pauling. I think this is a receiver room that's going to be better at getting open down the field and hopefully stretching the field a little bit more vertically.
Yes.
But you look at this offense and you say there's a lot back. Who's playing quarterback? What does that quarterback look like? That's the big old shrug for Notre Dame this season on offense.
Yeah. I assume it's Jaden Greathouse is going to be the clear number one pass catching option.
I tend to think so. I mean, I like Jaden Greathouse. Jaden Greathouse clearly showed out down the stretch last season. He factors to be, I think, their number one target out wide. Malachi Fields was really productive at UVA before coming over. Will Pauling has been productive in his own right coming down from Wisconsin. To me, those are the 3 names, but they've got other guys that I think can factor into this thing as well. Jordan Faison is still there. Cam Williams, a young guy who maybe could step in and have more of a presence out wide. Eli Raritan, their tight end.
Is he on the level, do you think, of recent tight ends that can be safety
I think he
valves?
can be.
Okay.
I think he can be, absolutely. So there's plenty of options in terms of pass catchers. But I do think it's going to depend somewhat on the quarterback to see how they are utilized and to see, moreover, what that offense looks like as they try to get down the field, because this was a pickleball offense last year.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot within 10 yards of the line of scrimmage. If it wasn't open after one read, Riley Leonard would take off and run with it. That was a whole plan of attack in the national championship game.
Yeah.
So
until Steve Angeli came in against Penn State and showed what he can do for the beautiful Syracuse Orange.
Your questions on offense are who's playing quarterback, and who's ever playing quarterback, can they stretch the ball down the field?
Yep. I agree.
And it's pretty cut and dry on that front.
Yeah. I mean, the duo of Love and Price is as good a running back duo in the country, it seems.
Yep. I mean, it's either them or Penn State.
Offensive
it's like
line
1A and 1B.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's a lot of cases out there, but yes, they are in rarefied air. Offense should be fine, as you mentioned. Need to find a quarterback who has pop. And the only issue I see with finding that quarterback is if it is seen and it becomes clear to the offensive staff that Kenny Minchey is the guy. Like, he's got to be perfect, because he's going to have so much more pressure looking over his shoulder than Carr would looking over at Minchey.
Oh, we're going to end up seeing both quarterbacks.
Okay.
I mean, I think especially week 1 on the road against Miami, there will be positions, situations where the position could benefit from having a little bit more mobility, and you need the hard yards, and you can bring Kenny Minchey in to more effectively run something like a zone read. Like, I think we're going to see that. I think it's probably trending in that direction at this point.
I hate that for Notre Dame, by the way. Just
I don't
run
like
an
that
offense
either.
with one quarterback, but okay.
Yeah, I don't like that either.
Unless it's a Belldozer type guy who is built to be that kind of battering ram, but neither one of these guys are.
I am increasingly of the belief that we're going to see both these guys.
Okay.
And it might just be like a package thing for a Minchey or even a Carr. I don't know who the starter is going to be.
Okay.
But to my surprise, and to the surprise of many people who I know personally who cover the team, this is a legitimate quarterback race.
Okay.
And we're going to have to wait to find out who gets the nod week 1 on the road against Miami. So that's the big thing with Notre Dame. Defensively, they're loaded.
Yep.
They're absolutely loaded. What stands out to you if you look at this team is the depth that they have at all 3 levels.
Yep.
And this is like Mike Mickens' opus on the back end.
So he's
of this
the
defense.
assistant defensive coordinator / secondaries coach. Yeah.
Secondaries coach. He's found a lot of great ones over the years. He found another great one in Leonard Moore, who was a true freshman last season, might be the best cornerback in college football this year.
Wow.
He's really good. It's Leonard Moore on one side, Christian Gray on the other. They brought over Devontae Smith, the other Devontae Smith from Alabama, who's going to be like a nickel corner. But whether you're talking about the cornerback positions or the depth that they've got at safety, it's just like a revolving door of guys that can step in and be productive.
And they added to that too. They brought in. They didn't bring a ton of transfers. But it's the other Devontae Smith from Alabama, who I think is going to play sort of safety nickel corner. Yeah,
nickel corner. Yeah. They figured to be really good at linebacker up front. They're again very deep along the defensive line. The one thing to watch: Jordan Botelho got hurt again.
Okay,
he was hurt at the end of throughout the course of last season, but tore his pec, figures to be out until like September, October. They get some help back with Boubacar Traore, who's I think factoring in to be one of their edge defenders. They need him to stay healthy. I'm excited to see my guy Bryce Young.
Yeah,
Bryce Young was a true freshman last year. He's a big kid, just different.
Is this Bryant Young's son?
Just built different.
Okay,
just built different. Dan. He's going to rotate in. He's going to play a pretty big role. I would like to see the pass rush get better this season. I'd like a little bit more production there. That makes this defense an absolute force. But they've got so much that they can work with up front. Again, more to the point I made earlier, the depth that they have built on defense especially is just astounding compared to where they were like 10 years ago.
Yep.
It's incredible.
It's Bryant Young's son, by the way.
Yeah, Bryant Young's son. So comes from good stock, obviously.
Yeah.
You see him out there. He's a big kid and he's different. The only real question I have, and it's not much of one, is you've got a new defensive coordinator in Chris Ash.
Who, to be fair, was a scout for the Jacksonville Jaguars last year. Continue.
Al Golden went to the NFL. It's Chris Ash. I was very lukewarm on the hire. I've warmed up to it.
Okay.
Here's a picture of this guy. I mean, you've seen him, but sort of restoring the tradition of a Notre Dame defensive coordinator with a very strong hairline.
Oh, by the way,
it's not like Diaco territory yet.
Is Diaco coaching this year? That's your trivia question.
I don't know. Look at this hairline.
Did you just send it to me? Okay.
I just sent it to you right now.
Oh, he looks terrific. Bob Diaco, by the way, is Bill Belichick's defensive line coach. Continue.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah. That's a great hairline.
I mean, if Chris Ash is holding his own point of attack like this, there's a school of thought he can carry that over to Notre Dame's front.
Yeah. That's a thing that a lot of the beat writers are talking about behind the scenes.
That's why we're different here,
yeah.
man. I mean, look at that thing. He's really holding on.
Hope it works out. I don't love the well-traveled nature of where he has coached these past few years, that they didn't hire the best possible, or they didn't go after an up-and-comer, or they didn't go after... Like, I understand Chris Ash has a history in the Midwest at Wisconsin and Ohio State and has called some really good defenses.
Yeah. Urban Meyer called it the hire of the off-season cycle.
Well, he's an Urban Meyer guy, so yes.
He's an Urban guy.
Yeah.
I don't know. Listen, it doesn't sound like Chris Ash is going to reinvent the wheel.
Right. I'm sure it's the Notre Dame. He's running the Notre Dame defense. Yeah.
He's running the Notre Dame defense. It does sound like there are elements he wants to simplify so guys can play faster with more freedom, another thing that they all say.
Yep.
They're going to play a little more zone, a little bit more match coverage, which he's done at previous stops, which I don't hate.
Mm-hmm.
Gives them a little bit more variability. They were very man heavy a year ago. So this is a defense that probably could use a little bit of variation.
Yep.
He did answer a question when they asked him about what he wants to do. He didn't use the exact words, but he basically said that he's got concepts of a plan, which was okay, kind of maybe not the most reassuring way to answer it, but he basically likes what they did last year. He's going to try and find ways to evolve it, not reinvent it, which I don't hate.
Right.
This is a front-loaded schedule for the Irish. Their toughest games are out of the way by mid-October. If they can get through October the 18th, being relatively unscathed, this is a playoff team. The three big games on this schedule: week 1, on the road at Miami.
Yep.
Sunday nighter. Then after a bye, they come back home. They host Texas A&M. And then they've got USC a little bit later on down the road. That's that October 18th game that is at home as well. Yes. Those are the three big ones. On the road at Arkansas could be interesting. That's another one of those games. That's on September the 27th, a monster college football weekend in week 5.
Mm-hmm.
They've got Boise State on here as well, which will be interesting to see how Boise stacks up. Potential landmines. But otherwise, I'm looking at the schedule and I'm saying the only other game that I'm really sort of concerned about, November the 15th on the road against Pitt.
Your Pitt Panthers. Yeah.
But by and large, Dan, this is a schedule that sets up well. There's not a murderer's row on here.
Right.
With this roster, the floor should be 10-2. Should be 10-2. Should be no worse than 10-2 with this roster, even with some of the quarterback questions that we discussed.
Yeah, I think that's right. Should also note the USC schedule when they get Notre Dame is after USC travels to Illinois on playing them on September 27th. They get a bye week, and then it's Michigan at home, immediately followed by a road trip to Notre Dame. It's a tough stretch for USC, the team that seemed to give, in the back half of the regular season, Notre Dame the most trouble. And so it seems Notre Dame, the Irish, do not have USC in the midst of anything as dramatic. It's after NC State. It's before Boston College. All due respect to those teams. USC is sandwiched in something a little bit trickier when they meet. So, man, the A&M game is going to be tough. The Miami game is going to be tough, especially since Miami's week 1. And you're likely going to need to score 30 points or in that vicinity to beat the Canes. with how much firepower they seem to have.
Yep.
So that'll be a fascinating week one. Not any sort of controversial statement that game is going to be great. But it's very difficult to find more than 2 losses on this schedule if Notre Dame is good.
I've got them at 11-1.
Okay. Likeliest loss being
Texas A&M.
Okay.
I've got them at 11-1. I think they win week 1 on the road against Miami. I'm going to stand by that. I think they're better than Miami. I think they're a better roster than Miami.
Okay.
So that's a win to open things up.
But it's in South Beach. It's not South Beach.
It's in South Beach.
Not South Beach. It's in Miami. It's in Coral Gables. Yeah.
But coming back home then on week 3 after the bye, A&M's a different animal. And that's going to be a very physical game. I think it's going to be close. I think it's one of those games that's like 17-16, somebody wins.
Yeah. Like the sort of Georgia games, the Georgia Notre Dame games from before. Yep.
Very much that style of game. There's going to be such a thin margin for error. And with 2 quarterbacks in that case, Marcel Reed and whoever Notre Dame ends up trotting out there, 2 quarterbacks who I can only assume need to improve some of their downfield passing. We saw it with Marcel Reed. I think there's going to be a thin margin for error, and that's going to be a game that's won or lost on a couple key plays that go one way or the other.
Yeah.
But that's the loss. I think Notre Dame beats USC. I think Notre Dame's better than USC.
Okay.
And I think that game later in the year at Pitt could be dicey because I do believe in the Pitt Panthers. But 11-1 for me, Notre Dame gets in the playoff.
Okay. And if you were a coach, how would you, like, what type of team should Notre Dame worry the most about? And I guess the answer is probably just like a team more talented at most positions than Notre Dame, because that's who beat them in the national championship game. Yeah.
It's a team with a really, really good defensive front, which is part of why I look at that A&M game and I'm a little bit fearful.
Okay.
A really stout defensive front is what I'm a little bit worried about. Miami could fit that bill. USC, you can make a case that they fit that bill as well.
They're better there than they were. Yeah.
Sure. I mean, this is not to demean any of those teams because I think they're all fine in their own right. But that A&M game, to me, I think A&M can take away, to some extent, Notre Dame's ground attack.
Yeah.
And if you're putting Notre Dame in a position where they have to suddenly throw the ball, they have to work the ball down the field, that's when I think things could break, if only because we don't know at this point what Notre Dame has at quarterback.
Yeah.
That's the kind of game that frightens me a little bit.
And to Notre Dame fans listening, if you could help them out, what's this whole AI thing about? What's going on with all these young people? And
I'm not talking about this.
All right, fair enough.